Number 5.
Please bear with me, as there's construction going on right outside my house. I just had PB crisps for the first time in my life, and something odd has started happening to my body. It started shaking and thrusting all over the place. I trashed violently into the walls, and then I hit the window and busted it out. I had to go look up my symptoms online, and I discovered a rabbit hole of sorts. So there was this website called Save the PB Crisps or Else. I clicked it to see what was going on here. The webpage was very simple, nothing crazy. A blue background and some red text. The words said, PB Crisps, do you like them? Then it gave 2 options, yes or no. I had to click no, since all the bad outcomes from eating them. So I did exactly that. I clicked no just like anyone else would do in that scenario. It brought me to a different unsecure webpage called fortjacksman.org. I was clicking around, and it seemed that it was the internal operating systems of some military base. I started digging around because it must be fake. I looked at classified files and saw lots of things. Atlantis Unmasked, Hoop Snake Lore, Red Room Chimpman, then something that caught my eye. PB Crisp Brainwash. Interesting, yeah? Opening that showed videos of the government mass-producing PB Crisps and injecting them with LSD, butternut bean, and battery acid. That explains it! That's why I've been having all these troubles. Glad I figured it out.
Number 4.
Does anyone remember the Danimals you would go to Piggly to get as a kid? You know, the ones that had Dylan and Cole Sprouse, and a bunch of other Disney stars of the era. Well, I used to eat them up all the time, and me and my friends would trade different flavors at lunch. It was such a good times. The other day, some old friends from middle school and me were hanging out for 420, just getting up to nothing crazy. We were starting to feel a little starved. We talked about getting Taco Bell or McDonald's. Hell, even Arby's. We were that hungry. But my buddy Brian had a great idea to go to the Piggly. Perfect! They could have anything we would want to make. We went looking for a food we would like until Devin saw the Daminals. It was a sign. Let's get some, he says. We all grabbed a ton and checked out. The cashier said something like, don't have too much fun. We did not have any fun that night. You see, we got home to eat the Danimals, very excited as we may be. We were watching some Franks and Mr. Rolls on Hulu, but once we opened, the Danimal static started appearing on the TV. As I got up to fix it, a face appeared so fast of someone named Stacy, and they were terrifying. Their face was red with some blue pigmentation and had what I would call devil eyes. We all flipped out and unplugged the TV. Lucky for us, that stopped to put a stop to it. For now.
Number 3.
When I was a kid, I really loved cereal straws. I loved every kind. Apple Jacks, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Fruit Loops. But my favorite was Cocoa Krispies straws. Now, there was this kid that I went to school with named Jake. We weren't really friends, but we would talk in math class every now and again. One day he told me that cereal straws could be used to filter dirty water. I know, seems like a stretch, but at the time I was a young, impressionable kid. I had to go home and try this out, so that's what I did. I grabbed a Cocoa Krispie straw and headed for the old lake in our neighborhood. What happened next was kind of fuzzy. I just remember going to the lake and drinking some water. Next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. The doctor said nothing was wrong and that I had just passed out because it tasted really bad. Something about the mix of chocolate and water messed me up and created a kind of gas-like substance that makes you pass out. I confronted Jake about it, and he said that he didn't think I would do it and that he was sorry and he would make it up by buying some new cereal straws for me. Just don't go drinking water out of cereal straws.
Number 2.
This is a story about my son David. David's a pretty good kid, all things considered, but he has pretty bad ADHD, so he can be a handful sometimes, but I still love him. Anyways, for his birthday, he said he really wanted some Yogos. They'd been discontinued for a while, but I figured I could find the recipe online and try to make them myself. Now, I'm not the best cook. My husband used to do all the cooking, but he's in a coma right now from too much Benadryl. I went searching online for the recipe. I found an old forum page that hadn't been active since 2007. It was called something like Untapped Recipes Forum. I figured it was a long shot, but I sent a message on there asking about the recipe for yogos. I got a reply the next day from the username Seedland346. They told me everything I need to make yogos. First, I needed to get C1-CH2-CH2.S-CH2-CH2-CL. Then strawberry juice, orange juice, and guava juice. And finally, yellow 5. I made it and put it in the fridge, and I was ready to present it to David. Turns out I made mustard gas. Whoops. I hadn't heard of this appartant, and it was some gas they used in old wars. My poor David was having a coughing fit. I gave him some water, and he seemed to be fine. It's been a few years now, and David just went off to college. They grow up so fast.
Number 1.
Great news, everyone! Oreo Cakesters have made a comeback, and I'm so happy. I love Oreo Cake Starts. I do, I really do. I was so happy, I told everyone in my family. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, even my cat Lucy. I was the first in the store to order them, and I got home as fast as I could. I almost couldn't wait, but I had to get that glass of orange juice. I made that glass and sat down at the table and drank it up, and opened my cakesters. I kept eating the whole pack until I was done. I noticed my parents watching the TV, the news. The anchorman said that the Oreo cakesters had been recalled because they were made of buckskin and melted caulk. Uh-oh, what was I gonna do?
Number 1.
Me and my friend Rick worked construction for a few years after high school. Just odd jobs here and there to make some money to buy stupid stuff, I'm sure. I can remember one time we saved up all our money for 100 McNuggets for 10 days straight. This one time, though, we made a nostalgic purchase of some Squeeze-Its. Do you remember those? They were from the 90s, really similar to Kool-Aid. Just the juice, nothing crazy, but I loved them on a hot summer's day. And be that as it may, it was a hot summer's day for me and Rick. So we saw there was some on sale on eBay. We didn't hesitate, but it offer and won. We went to go pick them up from the buyer since they were in our town. Now me and Rick haven't lived in Westfield very long, so we weren't sure if this neighborhood was safe, but we took our baseball bats in the truck just in case. When we got there, it seemed like a nice enough place. There was this nice old man, Bobby, who was the seller. He said his son moved out and left these behind, so he was selling them and a bunch of other things. It went off without a hitch, and he told us to enjoy. We went to our truck and couldn't wait. I told Rick I would film his reaction so we could remember this. He popped it open and drank, but something was off. A hole started appearing in his chest and stomach like it was burning away slowly. He was so much in agony. The look on his face burned into my mind. I drove him to the hospital and somehow they were able to save him. I can't thank the doctors enough. We handed the Squeeze-Its over to the police and told them about the man. They haven't found him yet, but I really hope they do. They did get back to us and told us that he put sulfuric acid in the Squeeze-Its. Just to be careful what's going on eBay.